Essentially, they had the dopest freestyle rap at a wedding you've ever seen. So tell me, how did that come about?
So what had happened was
Okay. Some call me Fati, some call me Tima. Some days I look like Fati, some days it be Selena. Okay. Either way I'm fine, I rap and I sing. Okay. Either way I'm fine, how y'all think I got this ring? Baby, it's the hips, baby, it's the lips. How that ass sitting in this dress, grew up on the screw, me and my bro, we cruising down the street and we still sipping on Fofo. I'm only freestyling, so I'ma keep it light. Ironic that I like to keep it sick on the mic. Oh my God! Oh my God! Very good, wedding ride, but it ain't no fiction. Love story, this is real life. Okay. I'm a pimp the mic because your girl's a new wife. Okay.
Hey guys, Dr. Dale here. Really quick before we start this episode, I want to ask you to support our mission by doing one thing. Just subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast channel, whichever one you listen to. Just hit that subscribe button. The way our podcasts get out there is by you guys liking it, by subscribing, and of course by sharing as well. So if you do one of those things for us right now, we really appreciate it. We work very hard to make these episodes for you guys. We work very hard to get them out for you guys and just to try to uplift the entire community. So if you can help us out by doing one of those things, subscribe, share, or like every time. I really appreciate it. Love you guys. What is up, fam? It's Dr. Dale, the author of Pediatrics, the Dr. Wizard from Parents Who Did It, the author of Pre-Med Mondays, the author of Black Men and White Coats, the author of the Dr. Doc Children's Series, and the author of this bad boy right here that when you listen to this podcast, either just came out or is about to come out or somewhere in that pipeline. It's called A Doctor's Guide to Self-Publishing, 7 Steps to Become an Author and Influencer in Your Field. I tell you stuff about how I write my books, how this stuff changed my life, how I make some extra money on the side, all that good stuff. So if you haven't got it, go grab a copy, all right? We'll put the link somewhere down low in the description. If you haven't got it, you're still here. Why are you still here? I said go grab your copy right now. I'll get you a copy. And you listen to the Black Men and White Coats podcast, the place where Black clinicians have the platform to share their stories with listeners like you. It is going to be such a great episode. I'm super geeked, super excited about this episode today. You guys will see why as we're going through just such a cool, interesting type of story. It's a different type of story, but you guys are really going to enjoy it. And I'm excited to get into it. So I'm going to introduce my homie through another homie. I say that because I've known her husband for quite some time. This is Dr. Fatima Okafor, a.k.a. better known as affectionately called Dr. Fati, representing Houston, Texas. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Hey, one more time. Put the H's up.
One more time. Throw the H's up.
Gotta do it, man. Because for those of y'all who don't know, I grew up not in Houston. I grew up in League City, right outside of Houston, but I still got to represent for the Houston area, Galveston County. Hey, super excited to get you on. I had to kind of track you down now. I had to track you down through your hubby. So, just happy for the time. I know you're busy. Just want to say thank you for taking the time out to come join the podcast.
Of course, anytime.
So I want to dive into your story, and I'm trying to see, should I get to let's just go ahead and do the wedding stuff now. Let's talk about why this was so cool. So you became a viral sensation. You and Kingsley, y'all became a super crazy viral sensation. I remember looking at it, I'm like, I know that dude, man. And y'all became a viral sensation because y'all had one of the most unique, coolest, dopest, whatever you want to call it, type of wedding scenarios. So tell me about that. How did that whole thing come about with your wedding? So essentially they had the dopest freestyle rap at a wedding you've ever seen. So tell me, how did that come about?
So what had happened was we actually were supposed to get married in 2020, but of course, COVID happened. So we were supposed to get married July 2020, and, we were actually in the middle of a surge at that time. So we had to make the decision. We're like, hey, we're going to have to postpone the wedding. And so whenever we postponed the wedding to the following year, when they were giving us the dates available, June 27th is the date that became available.
Okay.
And so, for everybody that's not from Houston, June 27th is
you got to tell them. They don't know. You got to tell them.
June 27th is a Houston holiday. So that's the birthday of DJ Screw. DJ Screw, phenomenal Houston artist. And so, we always, represent June 27th for DJ Screw. So, Kingsley was like, you know what, like we should freestyle. We should do a little something for the wedding, It was just something fun, something different is what we do. And, after going through the pandemic, having to postpone the wedding, we thought it would be a good idea. So we did it. We had no idea it was gonna go viral the way it did. It was so shocking. Like it was like Shade Room, BET, Essence, Black Girls Rock. It was everywhere. So that's how that happened.
Hey, and I'm not gonna lie, you put it down. Y'all did of course this is my first time actually like communicating with you, but of course Kingsley's a rapper, right? So I knew he could do it, but when I saw I was like, oh my goodness, y'all did a good job, man. I think DJ Screw, I think he'd have been proud of y'all. Y'all did a good job representing. And it's kind of cool because in a sense it became kind of more than you all, right? More than you all's rap. Y'all actually literally just represented for all of Houston and the years that Screw music was being made and just the whole Houston style. By you guys getting out there and telling the story, it just told more people know about kind of more Houston culture. So I think that's really cool. So let's go back, way, way back to your childhood. And I want to get into this story about you becoming a doctor. As a child, who were the influences in your life that may or may not have led you down this path of going towards medicine?
Well, my dad is a doctor. And I'm a daddy's girl. I love my dad. But he never really like pressured me to become a doctor, which I really liked. As I was, getting older and stuff, like I just would be like obsessed with like seeing doctors on TV. And I actually wanted to be a surgeon whenever I went into medical school. But when I did my medical rotation, the surgeon, I was like, nah, this isn't going to work out.
Why is that? What about it?
I think it was the lifestyle, like waking up like 4:00 in the morning, having to be there at 5:00, do your procedures, have to round on your patients afterwards. And then the length of time that it was going to take, which looking back, I'm like, the length of time, we were in school forever anyways, wasn't going to be that big of a deal. But yeah, I was just like, when I did my rotation, I was like, I don't think that I'm going to be, happy doing this. And so then I did my pediatrics rotation and I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is fun, And so then it wasn't until I was in medical school that I decided I wanted to be a pediatrician. So
you were not one of those people who wanted to do every rotation. Like I did peds first. I was like, I could be a pediatrician, right? You're not one of the people who said, I'm on peds, I'm going to be peds. I'm on neuro, I'm going to be a neurologist. You weren't one of those people. No, I wasn't. Like I would go like with every rotation with an open mind and I would be like, this isn't what I want to do. This isn't what I want to do. Or this is cool, but can I really see myself doing it? Good deal. So you mentioned that as a child, your dad was a doctor, didn't push you, but you saw stuff on TV. What were you watching on TV that was encouraging you to, making you more intrigued with the career of medicine? There was a show on TLC. I can't remember the name of the show, but they would show like deliveries. And so I would like see like the OB-GYNs like doing C-sections and deliveries. Funny enough, I didn't want to become an OB-GYN, but I thought it was cool. I think more so like the surgery part. And I would just love seeing that. I thought it was so cool. And my dad's a doctor, but funny enough, like I didn't see a lot of women doctors growing up, and especially a lot of Black women doctors. Like I don't think I saw my first Black woman doctor until I was probably in medical school. Oh wow! Yeah. Well, it's funny talking. As you're saying this, it reminds me. So in medicine, you can kind of sometimes tell where somebody's from because you say OB-GYN instead of OB-GYN. Yeah. So where my area, I went to med school in Missouri, University of Missouri, and up there we called it OB-GYN. And I remember my brother who went to the same med school as you, which we'll get to here in a second. They would always say OB-GYN. I'm like, what is OB-GYN? What is this GYN thing? So we're talking about gynecology, but down south, the guys there, y'all talk about GYN. Yeah. So that's cool. So all right, so you're a kid, you're watching these shows, you're not really pressured to go into medicine. yet, but you're intrigued. What types of things were you into as a child? Were you into sports? Were you already freestyling as a kid? Like, what types of things were you into little before you were Dr. Fati? Who were you as a child?
We'll be right back.
Yo, this is Dr. Pierre Johnson, aka Doc P, aka Doc for the Streets, the Fibroid Slayer, and I need you to be in the building at Malcolm X College on June the 4th for the Black Man White Coat Summit. If you have a young child or even an older young man that is aspiring to be a physician, he needs to understand what a doctor really looks like, what someone like him in a position that he wants to be in, and how he did it, and how to make it happen, and how this excellence happens. If you can't see it, you can't achieve it. So we need you to be in the building. There's gonna be so much energy. There's gonna be so much information. It's gonna be so electric. So please, please bring your energy, bring your attention, and we will gonna have a good time.
Who were you as a child?
Preteen very years. Playful. My mom is one of 9 kids. Oh, wow. So I grew up with a lot of cousins. And my cousins were my best friends. So we had a good childhood. I actually did more singing than rapping, actually. So I love singing too. And it wasn't until I started getting older, part of the Houston culture, you freestyle, we'll go down, all of that stuff. As you got older.
So what you're singing, what were you a Beyonce type of person who were doing these local performances, or was it just something you kind of did on your own in the backyard, in the house with your friends, or how deep into singing were you?
With my family. My uncle was actually one, may he rest in peace. He, heard me singing one time and he was like, oh, she can kind of hold a tune. Or whatever. And so then my family would start, asking me, sing this, but I never wanted to be a singer. I never was like, oh, I'm going to be, like Beyonce, and I'm going to, do shows and stuff like that. That wasn't what I wanted to do.
And for those of y'all who don't know, yes, Beyonce is from Houston as well. So we don't keep on representing the south side of the map there. So what did you want to do? Like you said, so you were interested in medicine, but you weren't kind of definite about it. That's the sense I'm getting. So as a child, what did you want to do as a child?
What did I want to do as a child?
Or was it medicine?
Yeah, I did have the idea of wanting to be a doctor. Another thing that I like doing is event planning, because growing up with so many cousins and family members, and there was always a birthday party or something like that. I like doing that too. I've actually never pursued it, full time, not even on the side, but I think I could have been a good event planner too.
So did you plan most of your wedding yourself?
No, I had an amazing wedding planner, André events. Shout out to Chioma. There's no way I could have planned a wedding and been working at the same time. It is hectic. Oh my gosh, planning a wedding is it's stressful. People think it's this magical, I'm y'all just go to the wedding and enjoy the party. Y'all don't see behind the scenes, making the list. Who can we invite? The parents oh, can we just invite this person? Can we just invite that person? Yeah, people don't see all of that. So
yeah, I remember when we were getting married, my wife and I were 4th year med students when we were getting married. Well, we got married in court first, but when we had the ceremony a year later, we were 4th year med students, and my wife was studying for step 2 or something like that. And she was okay, she told the wedding planner, her mom said, Mom, Dale is in charge. Whatever Dale says goes, that's what we're going to do. That plan did not work. that plan didn't work at all. Nobody was listening to me. So we just had to stop the wedding planning and just pause everything until my wife finished her task, because just nobody was listening to good old Dale. They thought I didn't know what I was doing. You're probably right. So you go through all that stuff at high school, the decision, actually before this part, what kind of student were you? What kind of grades were you making in high school and such? Were you a good student? Was school easy for you? Did you have to study?
I did have to study. I wasn't an exceptional student. I wasn't in GT and all of those advanced, courses. But I would say I was a pretty good student. I did study. I did have the idea, that I wanted to pursue medicine in high school. So I decided, I was like, well, I want to, I started looking into schools, like what are some good schools that, I would have a high chance of like getting into medical school. So then that's when I decided to apply for Xavier. And then that's where I started off my undergrad career.
Tell me about Xavier. Tell me about Xavier. How was your time at Xavier?
Xavier was awesome. They have a pharmacy school. So many pre-med students go there. It's in New Orleans. I had a good time. But then that time was cut short because when I was a sophomore, Hurricane Katrina hit.
So year?
When Katrina came, we lost our apartment. On here.
What year was Katrina?
That was 2015. No, 2005. I'm sorry. 2005. Yeah, okay. 2005. And so then Katrina came and me and my roommate, we actually lost our apartment. Like, it got flooded and there was damage. And so we just, she stayed, but, me and my family, we just, made the decision and I actually transferred. So I transferred to Prairie View and then that's where I finished my undergrad.
Okay. So, why did you make the decision to transfer? Like what factors went into that? Because this is something that makes your story really unique, right? Not too many people could say they had to up and leave a school because of a natural disaster and still pursue that pre-med journey. So what were the things that went into considering that transfer?
So we did have to, that whole semester was done. We had to scramble, to find some colleges like around the nation that would take us, that would still, take our credits and things like that. And my family, I think for the most part, my family was really scared. They were like, oh my gosh, like, Katrina happened. Like, what if it happens again? Like, is it going to be, safe anymore? And so they just really felt more comfortable with me staying in Texas.
I got you. Listen. So when you were at Xavier, was it Carmichael or was it QV?
Carmichael,
yeah. So people who went to Xavier will know those names immediately. Everybody else like, who Carmichael and QV? I'll let you break it down. So you want to tell who the infamous Carmichael and QV are?
Now I don't know who QV is, but Carmichael was, that guy. You want to go to, pre-med, you want to do medical school, like you go to Xavier, you got to get in, you get the guidance of the Dr. Carmichael, and you're basically in.
Yeah, man, he was like the godfather. So I went to Xavier for a summer before I went to college. I wanted to go there, supposed to go there, but money stuff, like the money ended up coming through to another program, so I ended up going to Missouri. But so Carmichael was a guy, and QV is like the Carmichael now. She was like his apprentice, and she took over, so she's running the show. Kuvadis Webster's her name. She's running the show. By the way, Kuvadis, if you listen to this, man, I gotta get you on the podcast. I gotta get you on the podcast. So she runs the show now. So natural disaster. So I can't help. Every time I say the word natural disaster, there's a Houston thing again. Chameleonaire, Color Changing Click. He always said, he had a rap that I love. He said, I'm a walking, talking, natural disaster, do-rag, hat backwards. And I love that for whatever reason. That's one of my favorite raps ever. I love that. But so fast forward, you end up going to Prairie View, and Prairie View's got Dr. Brown, I think, right? I don't know if he was there.
Dr. Brown, yes.
Dr. Brown. So he's getting you right. What other than the natural disaster, what was your biggest challenge as a pre-med?
As a pre-med, having to focus, like, hey, you got to prepare for the MCAT. And then also at the same time, like you're young, you want to enjoy college, right? So like you want to have fun. And so having to make the decision like, hey, I can't go out all the time. I can't do this. It's kind of hard because it's like you make so many sacrifices to be where you're at, and people don't understand that. You're 19, 20, 21 years old, like your people out on the yard kicking it, and you in your dorm room studying because, you're trying to get to med school, you're studying for the MCAT. So I think that that's the biggest challenge, just trying to stay focused, keeping your eye on the prize.
What high school did you go to in Houston?
Stratford.
Did you let's back up a little bit. The decision to go to HBCU, Xavier's kind of easy, I guess, because you're strong pre-med, so I'm guessing that has something to do with it. But was that part of your decision, HBCU versus a PWI?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to do HBCU. I definitely wanted that experience. I wanted to be in an environment where, you know, a lot of people looked like me and, you know, we could support each other. So I knew that I wanted to go to an HBCU.
Do you think that impacted your success moving forward? What type of, you know, confidence or anything did that have on your future success in medicine?
A lot of confidence. I think, you know, because I've had this conversation with my husband, Kingsley, and he did not go to an HBCU. He went to A&M. And so just the difference, you know, he thinks about stuff different, you know, going into corporate America as well. But like my confidence, I told him, I was like, yo, like my college experience was so much fun. Like I went to school with so many people that looked like me. We supported each other. You know, you have that network of people when you grow. It's an amazing experience. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't change it.
And that was so Xavier and Prairie, both are HBCUs for the listeners, in case the listeners aren't sure. So now the med school decision, what went into that decision in terms of where you applied to and where you ended up at? What was that process like for you?
So,
Hey fam, thanks for watching. We'll see y'all next week with part 2.
No time for stressing, I've been really stepping. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, if you wanna go get it, stop playing around. Really got on racks, ain't playing around. Wanna go get it, stop playing around. Really got on racks, ain't playing around. Black man, white coat, shit, we up right now.